I guess this week's discussion, which is on genre, and you should already have your initial posts uploaded and completed. So, and I've already started to read through that. Be aware, I will be commenting on a couple of posts. I won't be able to get to all of them. That's a lot of responding, but I will comment on a few and try to respond back. I like to read what you guys respond. I do actually read every single one. Um, before I even start grading, just to kind of give an idea. And sometimes, sometimes I actually like that becomes my feedback. Like my responses kind of are my feedback, and that gives you a chance to refine your posts even more and maybe hit on points that you might have missed and go from like earning a 2 to a 3. That when I see that change, I'm like, okay, perfect. I can give you your points now. When I respond, it's just so that I can give you the chance to earn maximum points possible because I want you guys to get a 3. I want everyone to get a 3. I hate giving lower grades. So I try to give you guys the opportunity to go back and fix things. So like I said, just make sure that you're getting your posts on time. For this, I do want you to remember the on genre assignment kind of can become somewhat feeling like a biography instead of a profile genre. I posted an announcement earlier this week. Let me go find that. It's going to be under, and maybe it's not in here. It
It
might
looks
not.
like there's an infographic resources for genre and profile genres down
Oh,
there. Look,
okay. I see it. Okay. Perfect. So yeah, so this resource is for specifically the profile genre. And I actually designed this so it can be a bookmark so that you can minimize it, make it super, super skinny, and still see what you need to hit on. And you can use that actually throughout your project whenever you need to remember. It tells a specific story, so make sure you're getting the story component told without it being like overly biographical. I know that sometimes you want to focus only on the story. Sensory details, so you're interviewing as you're doing these, gathering your primary research. You can use your observation as primary source too, and that's another way you can get your own data is by paying attention to how to customers interact, how people interact with the business or nonprofit, go through and see like Yelp reviews, Google reviews, see what people are saying, go on Facebook, search it on Facebook and see what people post about it if there's public posts. Um, which then goes into the primary research. So I kind of say descriptive and primary kind of go hand in hand. So you're going to draw on these interviews and direct observational skills to develop a profile and also embrace multimedia, images, video, art, just overall enhances it. So I like to think of it, it almost as a news article, and this is a way you could maybe take your project, but use images that kind of how represent how they're impacting the community, like soup kitchens. See if you can add photos of them working with homeless people or those that are unfortunate or are unfortunate circumstances. If it's an animal shelter, maybe include photos of them rescuing the animals from the streets and photos of the before and after and show what they're doing for the animal life. Videos, you can include like YouTube videos of the clips and kind of let the founders or directors or the community give their perspective and tell their story without you having to like constantly quote or paraphrase what they're saying. You can let their story be told through them. Art, if you're creative, you can always go to Canva like I do. You can jump around and do different things and just overall just make it to where the reader wants to stay on. Whenever you read a news article, there's going to be pictures that keep you invested. And so sometimes you can go look at the New York Times or CNN, Fox. They all have some sort of component added. You can add music. I'm doing an addition of music to my own like mock portfolio before your guys' final review. I'll show you guys that. But there's just so many ways that you can take this and make it from going from a biography into the profile. And so I want to hit on those points. And as you go through your discussion, maybe if you have time, include how you're going to hit each point of these that the profile genre has. So I think that's all I have for the discussion right now. I will send you guys a message as always. I've been trying to send you messages when they're due and reminders. So check those. If I'm personally reaching out to you, please, if you have time, get back to me. I like to have kind of a conversation. These discussions for me are a conversation, and I love to see when you guys interact. It's so cool to me and mind-boggling. And I always, um, uh, Christina and I, when we talk about it, I always note how I love when you guys do interact. It's an amazing and thought-provoking conversation. So I'm gonna hand it back to Christina now, but thanks for letting me share.
Absolutely. Sorry, I got kicked out of there for a minute. That's happened to me a couple times before. So don't be afraid. I am coming back. I promise if it happens again, I will return. But like Emma said, I think it's really important. We're in an online environment here, which makes it pretty difficult sometimes to feel connected to one another. Sometimes it's kind of hard to remember that there's a person behind the screen, which is why we like to come online and do these things to remind you that, hey, we are people. We promise we're not AI robots running the class. We are actual people running this. And so, to really kind of just get your money's worth out of it, to, think of how much you're kind of paying for these classes, which I know I was a student too. I had to pay those same prices. It can be really a lot. So the more that we can engage with one another, you're really getting your money's worth out of it that way. And then you're also just really being able to contribute to the ideas and the perspectives and the opinions and just really being able to help each other engage with one another and really come out of this class on the other side feeling more like a really strong writer. So just keep those things in mind as you kind of go through the assignments. I think the next thing I'm going to do really quickly is go over kind of an interview resource. Since you guys are working on your primary research, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Perfect. And I will zoom in on this if I can figure out how to do it again. No, it's looking different. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to zoom in before I share because it took my button away. I don't like that.
No, yeah, I'm like, as you see when I was like leaning under to see under the share screen part, it, like just
I know
I got
everybody
all
right
zoomed.
now is going to be doing that. For some reason, it always makes it way bad. Okay, so let me go ahead and try and share again. Okay, so we're very, very much zoomed in. I'll scroll down so that we can continue to see different things. So these are just some different profile interview tips that may be able to kind of help you guys as you go through this interview process for those of you that are conducting interviews as your primary research. So the first thing you really need to kind of just think about is what your purpose is in conducting these interviews. What information do you really need to gather or do you want to gather to help strengthen your profile assignment? Consider your purpose and what you want to discuss with the person you're interviewing. Be objective. How will you prevent any biases from influencing the interview? Obviously, when we choose a topic that we're passionate about or that we have experience with or that we visited the location, we're already going to kind of have a certain opinion regarding the business or organization, which can then create a certain bias on it. So really try to be objective when you're thinking about the questions you're going to ask. You want to gather information that will be supportive of the claims that you want to make, but you don't want to just focus on the one side that you may or may not already have regarding your business or organization. So just try to be objective and keep those questions kind of more general to make sure that you're not focusing too much and trying to just, maybe highlight one particular aspect of the business or organization that you're familiar with. Try and make sure that you're being a little bit more open. Practice the openness and mindfulness habits of mind when you're kind of going through this part of the process. Send the form ahead of time. There's an interview release form that if you can have your people sign, it just really is great to have here as well. Let me go ahead and open it for you guys so you can kind of see what it is. It's just basically a document saying, yes, you can use this information for your class. That's basically all it is. You can have them either give permission to use their name or do not give permission to use their name. It's totally okay either way. I've had a lot of students where they are fine using their name and then others where they don't want them to use their name. In a circumstance where they may not want you to use their name, you can just say, a regular customer at this diner or a popular customer at this place or a local person in the community said, you don't have to necessarily specify the name of your person if they want to make sure that they remain anonymous. So please try to have your interviewees sign these so that way we just know that they're okay with us using the information that they're sharing with them. Bring a way to record. Again, you have to make sure you ask permission before you start doing this. People use phones or laptops to record it. And honestly, it is really great to be able to have that during the interview because you're not maybe going to remember every little thing that they say. You might not be able to write fast enough to capture everything they say. So when you have that recording, It's a great way for you to be able to revisit the information later and maybe catch something that you didn't catch the first time. Again, make sure you ask them if it's okay to record them though. Begin with a warm up. This is a question basically just to kind of break the ice. I'm sure all of us have had those circumstances where we're meeting with a stranger, or we've been paired with somebody in a class that we've never worked with before, and it can be kind of tense or awkward. So just ask them a basic question. Doesn't even have to relate to the project. You can be like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Like, "Oh, what's kind of new with you? How are things going? How's life?" Whatever you kind of want to do just to start a conversation, just to kind of break the ice will help ease the conversation going forward. Ask good questions. So the questions that you want to ask are not just going to be simple yes or no questions. You don't want to say, "Do you like it here?" and just have them say yes. You want to be like, "What makes this place stand out to you? Why do you keep coming back here?" You want them to be able to answer your questions with more than one word. So have open-ended yet simple questions that your interviewee will be able to answer quickly and be able to really give you great insight on the business or organization that you chose. Pace yourself by only asking one question at a time. Along with that, I also always encourage students that it's okay to have a pause between your questions, especially if you're taking notes. Sometimes that silence can feel a little awkward, but you can flat out say, "I'm sorry, I'm just taking a few notes quick, and then I'll ask you my next question." And guarantee they'll be okay with that. Stay on topic. After the initial question, avoid questions not linked to your profile or your project purpose. So you don't want to try and veer too far off topic. But on the other end of that, I also encourage you to be open to other questions that may come up that you may not have initially had on your assignment to begin with. And students have even said this before, that sometimes they will, start the interview and they'll go through, and then all of a sudden they'll think of like another question based off of what the person said in their response. That's okay. That's a great way to just really engage and gain more information and insight, but you want to make sure that you're still focusing and staying on topic to get the information that you really need. Make sure you thank them at the end. Thank them for their participation, the information that they've shared. And then after the interview, you want to analyze your responses. See how your response data relates to the question that you've kind of focused on. Really, in this circumstance for this assignment, you're going to focus on how it relates to your profile kind of goals, that surprising impact or that meaningful impact on the local business or organization. And I definitely encourage you, as you go through your interview questions and your research and everything afterwards, I encourage you to review the project description and rubric at the beginning. I think that might help you kind of take that information that you've gained and be able to really organize it into a way that will support your profile. Follow up if you need to. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to do a full in-person interview. You can maybe call them. You could do an email. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of follow up if there's more information that you need. And then if you do follow up, thank them again. Even if you don't follow up, it's great to still try to send them a thank you, just really acknowledging the time that they put into helping you with this assignment. All right, now if I can get back, which I probably can't. Oh, there we go. Trying to zoom out a little bit here. Okay. So the next page. No, well, no, I can't zoom back in. Oh my goodness. Oh, there we go. You would think, you guys probably wonder why I'm an instructor. I swear I know what I'm doing. Okay. To develop interview questions, and I'm going to apologize in advance. My husband ended up having to work tonight, so my kids may or may not be in or out. They may make an appearance. Developing interview questions. Number one, we're going to talk about kind of like the different kinds of questions. Direct questions. So these are best to be asked at the end in order to not drive the interview too much. And there's a couple examples here, like, do you find it easy to keep smiling when serving customers? Are you happy with how the proceeds of the business are used? Those are ones that are going to give you kind of a more short to the point kind of answer, but are best followed after ones kind of like these. So now we're going to go to 2, which is indirect questions. What do the customers here think of how management treats the employees? Best if you follow up with, is that the way you feel too, in order to kind of receive the respondent's view? That really just kind of lets them, I feel like, explain a lot more, gets a little bit more information and an opportunity for them to share their opinions and really get you more insight into the business and organization itself. Any follow-up questions, which are great too. If there's something that you'd like to learn more about, you could say, "Could you tell me more about that?" Or like, "Hey, that's really interesting. Can you explain that a little bit more?" Feel free to use that. If you don't think you're getting enough with the answer that maybe they gave you, or you're really interested in learning more, you're more than welcome to ask them to expand upon their points. And interpreting type of questions. Does this mean that you're thinking of expanding next year? Kind of leaving it to interpretation for them to kind of explain for you. I think that would be a great question for a lot of you with maybe looking to the future for your business and organization. Like, what are kind of your goals for the next year? Or, where do you kind of see this going in the future? Where do you plan on taking this? Different things like that to really kind of give a perspective on not only where they are now in supporting the community, but maybe where they want to continue to go. I think there's one more page. Oh, whoops. I guess I'll restart. I didn't mean to click that fast. Oh no, stop. I don't know how I got it up before. Okay, well, I can kind of read this. If you can't, I will feel free to share these as well, all the resources that we used today. Integrating your primary research into your project. We can talk more about this too once we actually start working on our drafts. But here are some ways that you should be trying to incorporate your research. Obviously, you can use direct quotes from any interviews that you conduct, but don't copy and paste a quote randomly in your writing. You want to kind of break it down into readable chunks. Something that we're going to talk about here in a minute too are long quotations. Sometimes I've seen students where they take a long quote that they really liked from the person they interviewed, which is absolutely wonderful, but they just put it in the middle of a paragraph. I'll explain a little bit more once we get into the APA formatting resource I have for you guys, but it's easier if you can take it into a sentence or two. It's a lot easier for your audience to digest that way as well. But when you also put a quote in, you want to connect the quotes to the ideas that are already in the paragraph. And it's kind of a citation sandwich, which I'll talk about down here as well. You also want to reflect on the quotes that you want to incorporate. Consider quotes that are interesting, challenging, or maybe even confusing, and explain them. Weave these quotes into your own ideas as well. You don't want your whole entire paper just to be quotes. We want to make sure that your own voice and ideas and perspectives are heard through this writing as well. And the quotes are really just kind of going to be a supplement and a support for that as well. So the citation sandwich, and maybe some of you have heard of this, is a great way to incorporate any kind of research. Doesn't even have to be quotes, but in this circumstance, it will more than likely be some form of a quote into your writing. So you're going to have your topic sentence, your normal kind of standard paragraph, any information you want to share there. And you also want to kind of be able with that to lead into your quote. Then you'll actually have the quote. And then after the quote, you'll kind of explain it in your own words for a little bit. So I don't know if there's an example on here, but otherwise I'll give you an example. So let's say I'm talking about, I think in the profile topic assignment, I talked about a brewery in my local town. So I might say how, this brewery is a great support for the community. They do a great job hosting different fundraisers and participating in events throughout the year in the local community to ensure that everybody feels connected. Then I might say my quote, I love that they always participate in the kids run every year, says Jane or somebody. It really is a great way to show that they feel a connection to the local community. End of quote. Then my ending sentence might be, it's clear to show that they are enthusiastic about participating in these local events and making sure that everyone knows they are an available business to be able to be reconciled and used to support the community. So that was long, elongated, very random, very on the spot. But you see how I started the paragraph kind of leading into the topic I was going to discuss with the quote, and then I kind of summarized the purpose of that quote at the end. That's where the sandwich comes in. So you can think of the bread on the top and the bottom being that beginning sentence and ending sentence, and all the stuff in the middle being your quotes. You just want to make sure you have a good balance of your own ideas in text as well as research to support your claims. I know this seems like a lot. That probably felt like a lot, but I promise you guys can all do it. Take your time. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions on it. We're more than happy to help you. The next thing I'm going to go to, I think, is our PowerPoint on APA formatting and citations. Emma, did you have anything you wanted to throw in there quick before I start?
I think that you captured it perfectly. Use the resources as you work through the project. I promise you, it makes it so much easier. And anytime that you see an announcement or when there is resources provided, just check and see and take notes based on that, because sometimes I find the resources they help condense the information and make the process easier. So just always be sure to check your email, check your announcements page to see what we have provided for you guys, because sometimes it can be rather overwhelming when you look at a huge wall of text of assignment information and you're like, where do I start? These resources are basically simplified for you to know where you start. So that's all I really have to say about that.
No, that's 100% true. And if you guys want more resources, always feel free to reach out and let us know, because we're more than happy to make them, find them. We love to meet one-on-one with you guys if you have questions on certain things. So always feel free to reach out. We're more than willing to be here to support you guys. So our next favorite thing, everybody's favorite thing, cough, cough, is APA formatting and citations. Don't feel like you have to memorize this. This is something that even I, as an instructor, do not have memorized. There are so many circumstances and situations of how you can use APA formatting. So I'm going to kind of give a run over of the basics of what you guys will more than likely utilize in this class. Again, I will share this PowerPoint with you so you guys have free access to it. You can go back and review it later when you're actually starting to write your profile. But one of the first things I want to talk about are citations. So what are citations? It's just a way to cite information from a source that's not your own. Why do we cite? Obviously, the big one is to avoid plagiarism. Excuse me, you guys know that we talk about plagiarism. There's serious consequences, especially in academics, for plagiarism. To give proper credit to the proper authorities, obviously. Think of any hard work that you might have done, whether it's on a project, whether it's in your job, anything else. If somebody were to steal that credit away from you, you would feel pretty bad about it. So the same kind of goes for here. We want to make sure the people that have done the work, done the research, have their credentials, that they are all given credit for the work that they've done. Also, it also increases your credibility too. When you're able to incorporate research and then cite it appropriately in your writing, that shows your audience that you have also done your research, you've used credible sources, and that you're using it to help support the ideas and the claims in your own writing, which again increases your own credibility. It also is a way to provide extra resources to your audience, especially in the papers that you're going to write, these profiles. It's a great way to just give some extra resources, if you include hyperlinks, if you include links to news articles or things like that, anything that might give them a little more information about your business or organization, that gives them the opportunity to do their own research if they would like to after they're done reading your paper. So the necessary items that you're going to need when creating your citations, you're going to have a quote or a paraphrase, which is kind of like a summary of the information from a source, an in-text citation, and a reference page with a list of sources. That sounds terrifying, but we're going to kind of take it one by one going on forward here. So we use APA formatting in this class. There's APA, MLA, Chicago. Those are the main three that people have heard of and that are used in academics, but we focus on APA formatting. I want to show you different examples of how you might be able to use it in your own writing. So all three of these examples I took from a textbook that I have. The first one is a direct quote from the book. I literally took this word for word out of my textbook, did not change a thing, which is why I have these quotation marks here. That signifies that you directly took this information from somewhere. I literally copy and pasted this directly into my paper. And then, so this would be your actual quote. And then in here is your in-text citation. This is what's in the parentheses. It tells the information of where you found this, and it will help give your audience an idea of where to look in your reference page, which we'll get to in a minute, if they would want to look at more information. In this circumstance, I have the author's name, the year, and then the page number because it was a book. That's how you do it when you have a direct quote, which most of the time, this is what students use. Normally, it's a direct quote. There's also a way to just paraphrase or summarize the information, which means you're still taking the information from some kind of a source, whether it's a social media page, website, a book, online article, whatever it is. You're still getting your information from that, but you're not copying it word for word. You might be rephrasing it to make it fit better in your profile, to make it sound more like your own writing voice. But either way, it's not a word for word copying, but you're still taking the ideas from a different source, so it still needs to be cited. That's the second option here. Again, it's not a direct quote, which is why there's no quotation marks there. I rephrased it myself, but because the information was still not my own, I still had to put this in-text citation at the end. The last one, which is not use very often is just kind of another version of the first one. I'm still using a direct quote, but instead of putting the quote first and the information at the end, I wanted to maybe change up my paragraph layout. So I put the author first and then put the quote after that. Definitely can use all three of these. You can focus on one of them, whatever you kind of want to do. So this is what's actually going to be in the body paragraphs of your essay, will be things like this. At the end of your paper, you will have what's called a reference page, where you will list all of the different sources that you used for your assignment. That's what this might look like. And we're going to kind of look at different examples of that going forward here. Excuse me. Some of these you might not use, some of them you will. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time specifically going over each one. Again, like I said, I'm going to let you guys have access to this. But basically, these are just the different formats for how you're going to create your reference page. So let's look at the first example, citing a book. You'll start with the author's last name, a comma, and then their first initial, and all the punctuation you follow here. So then you would put a period. In parentheses, you would put the year of publication. And then here you would, in italics, put the title of the book if you have a section after capital letter for the subtitle if necessary. Any publisher information you have, and then the DOI if applicable, which it might not be. So like here's the example that I had up above. It was by 2 different authors, and then the year. Here's the name of the book, 11th edition, and then right here is the publisher information. Citing a website, which some of you will probably be using. If there's multiple authors, list them. If not, just do the author's last name and their first initial. The year, month, date. If you can't find the specific month, that's fine. Just put the year. Title of the page, the site name, and then a URL link. So again, here's an example. Author's name, the year, title of the page. Notice how with a book, that title of the book is in italics here. This is not. This one had a specific kind of format, which was a PDF file. Site name, and then the retrieved from URL link. This seems like a lot of work and can be kind of difficult. There are resources that can help you kind of create these, but you should still always double check it. Scholarly article, not sure how many of you are necessarily going to need that, but that's right there. The other thing I wanted to talk about was citing personal interviews, since some of you will be conducting your own interviews. For personal interviews that you conduct for your primary research, you only need to include an in-text citation. You do not have to put anything separate on the reference page. So here's an example of what it might potentially look like. Hi, buddy. So I have a sentence here. I have my direct quote, and then here is my in-text citation. So I was the author of this. You always use the word personal communication. That helps your audience identify that this was something conducted by you. And then the date that I held my interview. That's literally all you need to put for your interviews. Again, you don't have to make a long thing like this to put at the end of your paper. It's literally just going to go in your body paragraph next to the quote or the information that you're using from your primary research. And then citing an image here. If you're taking your own image, which a lot of students actually expressed interest in doing, and I think that's awesome. This is kind of the format that you would use for that. You can make up your own image title, if you can't find one, but there's a couple examples there for those as well. Here's some more that I actually took pictures of just from my book that I thought might be helpful. If you're using just one page from a website, maybe you're using the about me page from the website and that's it. You can specify which page you're wanting to look at. So you can see it's highlighted in different colors. Here's kind of the key up above. So anything yellow highlighted is going to be the author. The blue is kind of the date there. That's included with the publication information. The title in green, and then the gray is the type of source that it is. So as you kind of go through these pages, you can keep in mind that key, and you can always revert back to this first one. But that's one example of a page from a website. If you're going to do the entire website, so maybe you're looking at multiple pages on their main website, you can go ahead and use this as well for that. Again, I don't know how many of you will be using books, but maybe in future classes you might need to use books. So kind of in different formats here, printed book, online, an ebook, book by 2 authors, different things like that. The long quotation is another thing I wanted to talk about. So a quote that is 40 or more words, you're going to have to do a little bit differently compared to the other quotes that you've done. If you remember that we talked about other quotes that are short, you'll just put in quotation marks right in your paragraph. Doesn't have to be separated. Literally can put it right in the paragraph with your in-text citation to follow. If your quote is 40 or more words, you have to set it off almost like it's its own paragraph. So notice here how this is a sentence before the quote. You're actually going to indent. You're going to actually enter first and then indent over. So it almost looks like it's its own paragraph. You will also have no quotation marks in this situation. And then you'll still have your in-text citation there at the end afterwards. Any information after that you'll have another entered line and you'll go back to typing your paragraph just like you had before. Those can be confusing. And when you guys turn in your drafts, I specifically will comment if I see long quotations. So I will, mark those for you. I will help you work through them. It's a lot easier once you actually have your papers written, and then you can kind of see what I'm talking about when I highlight that quote, and then I can give you guides on that. The reference page, again, will be the last page. It's actually on a completely separate page, so you'll want to have a completely blank page for this with a list of all the sources that you've used. For APA formatting, which is what we use in this class, it's called a reference page, but for MLA, it's also called works cited. So you may have seen that if you've done research in other classes, they may have a works cited page, but because we use APA formatting, we call it a reference page. It's going to include a list of all the references that you use throughout your paper. Big key point here is they have to be listed in alphabetical order. So whatever the first word is of each single source, you alphabetize it based on that. And you also want to make sure that you leave a hanging indent, which I can show you. I don't know if I have an example right away. I think Emma has some other stuff on. I don't know if you were going to talk about some portfolio stuff too. So while you do that, I may try to find this for you guys. But basically all a hanging indent means is that any line after the first one is going to be indented a little bit. But there is a way to do it actually within your Google Documents or your Word documents so that you don't have to manually do it yourself. This is a correct example of what it's going to look like. So you can see that second line is tabbed over a little bit. The incorrect example is if you just leave it like that. Again, I will try to show you. I'll find just a fake one or something. Do you
I
have
have
one?
actually, yeah. I was to say I'll just use my assignment. I've been doing
Perfect.
hanging
No,
indents.
that's awesome. Here's just an example of what a reference page might look like. You can see that they alphabetize it based on the first word of every source here, and that they have that hanging indentation behind it. It's titled references at the top. Purdue OWL is a really great resource for you guys. I highly encourage you to use it. There's so many great resources on here, just even besides citations and things like that. If you click on the general writing section, you can see a bunch of different things here. Grammar, punctuation, the writing process. Oh, thank you, honey. Then you can click on research and citation here where it talks about APA style. If you click on that, it'll give you just basic introductions, formatting guide that you can click on, and it gives you, general format, font, title page, all of those kinds of just basic formatting things too. So that's a really great resource for you guys. I encourage you to use. And I think that's pretty much it for that. So I'll stop sharing for a second so Emma can show you guys how to do that hanging indent.
Okay, let me pull it up. So this is this is just an example from one of my assignments personally. I'm quoting actually the Epic of Gilgamesh. So let me actually make sure you can see this, right? I'm not sharing the wrong thing.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So for this, I'm gonna unformat it. So it just makes your life easier if you just go here, then you can go to format, align, indentation, options, and then you'll hit special indent. And then you'll hit hanging. Sometimes you have to choose how much. I usually don't. You can also go to help and just search hanging. And I actually like to do that better. And then it just immediately takes you. I don't know why it's not. Well, of course it's not going to work now. Oh, it's because okay, that makes more sense. It's because it's the docx. Let me actually open a Google Doc. to show how it works. So yeah, you'll highlight it again. You'll go into insert or not insert format, align and indentation options, and then hanging. You can choose however much. I, okay, am I crazy? It's just not working now.
Of course, in the example that we want to show, it doesn't want to work.
Well, yeah, of course.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna also,
I was
while
gonna
you're
say,
trying to figure that out, I'm gonna try to
yeah.
open a Word document so that way anybody who uses Word,
I
we
was gonna say,
can.
yeah. I actually, I wonder if it's just because I made it. And normally you can just do if you search help, and this kind of goes for anything. If you're struggling finding it, like let's say spacing, you can just search spacing, but you'll just go to format and then align and indent. If it's not working with you, I'm gonna assume that it's probably because my thing isn't justified. I don't know why that would be the problem, but
Okay, that's
that
okay.
could be, I would say, but yeah. I'll have you take over for that while I figure out what's going
Okay,
on with this.
that's a-okay. Let me go ahead and share. Okay, please ignore the fact that I have a black document with white text. I, for my life, cannot figure this out. Anybody knows how to fix it, I will be so happy and grateful because I don't know, it just started doing this out of nowhere for no reason. I don't understand. Anyway, so here's my reference page. And I have this is something I used for a class a long time ago. Something it's not still probably formatted exactly how yours will look. Yours will probably be all the way over here. Don't know why it's doing this. But anyway, so once you have all your references listed at the end here, this is how it's going to look. They're all going to be, straight down together at first. So I just simply highlight all my references. And then you kind of go up to this paragraph section here. There's a little extra kind of arrow pointing down there with paragraph settings. So again, it's similar to what Emma was showing you. You still go to the indentation, you go to special, and then I go down and click hanging. It also gives you a preview of what it should look like. And then you click OK, and it will automatically indent them there for you like that. That way it's the formatting's correct. You don't have to go back and try and make sure you have the same equal amount of spaces. That's how you do it. Again, it's the same kind of concept in our Google Doc. Let me see if I can open something up. Oh, I don't even know if I'm gonna have anything that'll work, but um, oh, let's see. Here, I can find something in here that would maybe make it work. Um, this is one of my chats with ChatGPT, which we'll talk about here in a second too. So that actually works out well. So let's say that this is obviously not an example of what your reference might look like, but let's just say that it is for a second. So you can go to format once you have it highlighted. Go to, oh gosh, now I gotta remember. Line and space. Is it line and spacing? No, it is, hold on, align and indent. Sorry. Um, Align and indent, and then you can go down to indentation options. Go from special, just go ahead and click hanging. Yeah, I don't know why now all of a sudden we have to add that. I never had to add that before. But then you would do 0.5. You can see that it did that, except for some reason the last word, whatever, who cares? But that's how you do it in your Google Docs as well. Is that right, Emma? That's what you were gonna show? Is that the
Yeah,
same way? Okay.
and normally indentations is 0.5. I don't know why it's forcing me to type it, but I'm still working on that.
I agree because I never had to do that before either. But anyway, kind of while we're on the same topic, quick, um, Chat GPT is something that we're probably going to spend more time focusing on and probably a whole different video just because there's so much that you can really do with it. Um, and a lot of students are kind of hesitant to use it because of, maybe plagiarizing, unsure how it works, just not sure how they can incorporate it and use it, which I totally get. Even as an instructor, it's something new for all of us. We're still trying to kind of navigate it. But one of the things that I think you guys could probably try to use it for is your interview questions. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. So I am just in chatgpt.com here. Um, and you can literally just kind of type into here whatever you would want. So I've used it for some ideas on how to give personalized feedback. I've used it to come up with some topics, maybe about a certain big topic, like, oh, well, what points should I mention when I talk about organization? Or, what are some good tips for people learning the writing process? Like, I've used it for more educational things, obviously, as an instructor. But in this circumstance, you guys can try to use it for interviews. So, for an example here, I have some interview questions that maybe I came up with. I share them here, and at the end, I might say, give me some advice on how to improve these, whoops, improve these interview questions. Once we hit enter, the chat GBT will go ahead and kind of start looking at each individual question and give me some ways to improve it. So let's look, for example, oh, well, we'll finish letting it do its thing first so I don't interrupt. But you're seeing how it's giving me tons of things. Every single question that I have in here, it's giving me a way to improve it. So let's say, for example, my first question was, what made you want to start this food pantry? So it's giving me some improvement. So rather than saying, what made you want to start this food pantry? I could say, can you share the story behind starting this food pantry, which is perfect for our profile assignment. What inspired or motivated you to take this initiative? And then not only is it telling me like that's a way to improve it, but it also gives me a reason. This adds a personal touch and encourages a narrative, exactly what we want, rather than a brief answer. Again, it's doing that with all the questions. How can the community help continue to support you? I could say, what ongoing or additional support from the community would make the biggest impact for the food pantry's mission? It frames it on a way that focuses on future needs, which invites more strategic responses. So many just really great different ideas and suggestions that it's giving me. Also says, ask follow-up questions. That's something that we talked about in the resource. Can you give an example? Why do you think that was effective? Just to try and push them a little bit deeper to gain more insight. And, feel free to make personal connections. Add questions about their personal stories, if it's, at least as long as it's related to the discussion that you're having. So you can use ChatGPT for a lot of really great things. I think for the purposes of this class, at this point, especially, I think any primary research that you'd like to maybe ask it for some tips on would be great. Once we actually get to drafting, you can help ask or have it help you work through some maybe paragraphs, like, hey, can you check this paragraph for grammar? Hey, how do you think I can strengthen this paragraph to maybe add in more research? Different things like that. And even if with just basic things, you can ask it, what is a profile? Or like maybe let's do, what is the profile genre? And then it'll go ahead and talk about what the profile genre is and give you some different kind of characteristics of it. So if there's something that you're not understanding or you're not sure of, or maybe just want to kind of, bounce some ideas back and forth. I've seen people use ChatGPT for debates and different things like that too. So there's a lot of different ways that you can incorporate it and use it in this class. We just don't want you telling it to do your assignment for you or directly copying and pasting exactly what it says to put in for your own words. You can definitely utilize it and be able to incorporate it into your writing and even use some of the ideas that you got from it. But we just don't want that direct copy and pasting because this class is so important in developing the writing process and especially developing your own writing voice and your own writing style. So I just wanted to show you guys that. I thought it would maybe be a great resource for you to use on your primary research to be able to help you with those interview questions. If you haven't conducted your interview already, or like if you do conduct your interview and then you could maybe put some information in there on like what would be some follow-up questions to this information or something like that. Emma, do you want to add anything on how you use AI or how you think students can use it?
Yeah, let me show you actually. I use it for making resources. All right, if I share my screen.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're gonna you're gonna see me like kind of embarrass myself a little bit. You can see kind of what I look up. So I use it almost to format my infographics whenever I design it. Another cool thing now that ChatGPT does that they updated it to where you can't like it used to be paid, now it's not. You're gonna see it here at the suggestion. It's gonna say create an illustration. So let's just pretend that I'm doing this and I want them to make me a logo. I'm gonna warn you right now, ChatGPT doesn't spell anything right, so don't use this to do it for you, but use it rather as inspiration. So when I was making the on genre infographic, I actually put in, it might be Um, create an illustration about uh, for genre for students. And it's just gonna make a picture, infographic. Sometimes it asks you for clarification because it can't read your mind, unfortunately, as much as I wish it would. Um, uh, there. And in the assignment, it includes that genre is like, oh, maybe it's not gonna do what I want now. I have a picture somewhere. I'll open it. But basically, you could just use it as an example for your multimedia. Not only will it like give you an explanation of how to do it, it can be a little bit finicky, so you have to fight with it a little bit.
And
There,
this is a good
perfect.
example of why you don't just use it for anything and everything because it's not
Yeah.
always accurate. It'll spit out a lot of great stuff, but sometimes it's not always true. So it's always great to still do your own research, all of those things. But as Emma said, it can really be a great tool for inspiration and just giving you some great ideas.
So yeah, so here is like the graphic kind of designed. It looks great. A lot of repetition. You see, a lot of misspelling, words that aren't being real. No explanation. But it can be inspiration. Like, I know some of you mentioned that you're not really creative, so this can bring out the creativity in you, or at least give an idea of what you can design for that multimedia. I think another thing I do is that it's not necessarily ChatGPT, but if you ever have the chance to, Canva has their own AI, and they have magic design, and there's one for video, I think too. Writing, I wouldn't use a writing. That's another option. You can give them a word. Let me go into I play around in Canva a lot. So we'll go into this one. I'm working on a logo banner thing. You'll go into like elements. They do like an AI image generator. You can do a style, and then let's just say uh those are my words that I explained. It usually asks for like 5 or more words, and then it takes a little bit of time to generate that image, but it can kind of make it your own. And if you don't like to design things by yourself and ChatGPT spells wrong, Canva can definitely like make it where like perfect. Now I have a donut, and oh, now I have 2 donuts apparently. And now you can take away, and it's not necessarily stealing someone's work, but it can take your idea and put it to paper. Like if you struggle with drawing, I know there's plenty of people that don't like to draw, but they wish they could incorporate it. That's an option you can use. Another thing I am going to point out one more time, I know I mentioned it a while ago in the tools for success, is that ASU actually is paying for a premium subscription to Grammarly. So I'm going to bring you back to this website. It talks about writing with AI, and they're offering a pilot license that is for a premium account that's education, and it tells you ways that you can use Grammarly. There's videos, great resources. Uh, ASU has their stance on AI. It's intimidating, like Kristina said, it can be scary to use, and we want to show you how to use it properly. ASU also has great resources on what it does, we can use it for. They have news if you're interested in learning more. They have help pages. Um, they they just have a vast resource that we could go into, but like I like to use Grammarly personally for, let me see if it's logged in right now. It might not be. I might have to
So
sign in
Emma,
with
while
Google.
while
Yeah,
you're kind of going into that, I know I had the student that I met with specifically ask how we get access to the premium. How did you do you just create an account and then we automatically get access, or do we have to do something specific to get that premium access?
I want to say you should. I got an email a while ago, and that's how I signed up. Let's go back.
I'll do a little more digging in that too. And if
As I
there's
say,
something else we have to do, I can make a video about it.
Oh, here. So you'll actually go to the expanded writing, so tutoring.asu.edu, and I'm actually going to put this in chat for you. Um,
Yes, please, because I'll put that on. I'll copy it and paste it in our announcement or in the comment in the announcement that I'll share this video in.
chat. Why does Zoom have to be so okay, there we go. So you'll go to this website, and actually I think I included it also on my Tools for Success announcement. It's where you can find that nice, amazing strategy guide, which also shows you a little bit about Grammarly and AI use. And then you'll go to activate your Grammarly for Education now. I don't know how I missed this. And then you'll just hit sign up. And it looks like if you have any questions about activating that, you'll contact tutoring@asu.edu. So here is that email. So if it's not working, reach out to them and they'll help you set it up. I've not reached out to them personally, but I kind of work in this similar department, obviously. So they'll be very helpful. There's a great resource. And overall, just like when you look at it, like they have a demo document, you can upload your work and it shows correct your spelling. It talks about grammatical, like unsplit the infinitive, and it shows you like an offering, you can accept it. Wordiness, redundancy, like if you're redundant and there's ellipsis and maybe they don't like that. They give you suggestions on different words you can use. I like it. It reminds you. It does a refinement for you, whereas you might not miss it whenever, like you might miss it whenever you're reading. And it can also like talk about like passive voice, and it'll teach you. But this is all under, I think, premium. So you get this like they only do the misspelling and grammatical errors, and like it underlines words that you can revise, but the premium just gives you way more. And it talks even about, it looks like now they have competency where it shows you a rephrase, whereas when you're uncertain, it's just really cool. And you can have goals. You can set your goals for like academic, and it's an essay or report or other, and then like your format and all the there's so many. And then hit done, and it'll actually tailor that to you as well. It's really nice. Another AI that you can use that's free if you're having issues with using it. I used to use this a lot in high school, not as much now that I have Grammarly. Hemingway, you just kind of paste it in. It counts your words. It gives a readability. Um, and I like it just because it color format. So like it doesn't necessarily give it away for you, and it lets you have more control than Grammarly does. So like with this, it tells you fix your sentence, and if you choose to, you can always um go in and use the AI, and there's like a try it for free. And I think the free trial, I'm not sure how long the free trial lasts, but like they have different plans about how much they cost and if they're annual, or you can also just do it, I think, monthly somehow. But it's another great resource that's AI, and I've used it for a really long time, and I've never gotten in trouble. My teachers actually really like that I use AI for that, because we would go over these conventions and then people just forget, and it's just nice. I like Hemingway. If Grammarly wasn't free, I'd go back to Hemingway. But you know, we're college students. I'm a college student, so I get that, and I like that the AAC is offering this. So that's just one way you can incorporate more for like refinement tools.
I love that. And one of the things that oh shoot, did I just lose it? I had it in my head 2 seconds ago. Hold on. Oh, yes. If you're going to use some of the tools that we've showed you, especially AI, the only thing that I ask from you is that you just share how you used it. We, as instructors, again, are still learning how to use this, how to incorporate it into the classroom. So please let us know what you're using it for, how you're using it, because maybe that's a way that we can actually incorporate it into the class later on. Um, so anyway, if you're not using it, feel free to share that. If you're not comfortable using it, you can share that. If you are using it to refine, as Emma showed, like look at interview questions, look at revising with punctuation and grammar and different things like that, just let us know how you're using it, because that helps us learn how students want to use it and how it's most effective for you as well. All right. Well, I really didn't have anything else to go through. Emma, I know you had wanted to talk about portfolios. I don't know if you did that in the time that I got cut out. Is there anything else that you
Um,
wanted to share with everybody before we end today?
yes. Let me reshare my screen because
Oh yeah.
this is gonna be my demo, I guess, basically. And I'm gonna get more resources out once we actually get to we get closer to that final project, but I'm gonna keep reminding you guys again earlier, as I said, um, update that portfolio as we get these assignments on. You are going to want to update and change things. A lot of you mentioned things that you would change, or like go back through your peers' portfolios and say, hey, I like this. I kind of want to steal it. Give credit, maybe like at least like in a discussion, say, or like in your when you do the final reflection, say, well, I noticed some things from certain peers and I took that and I incorporated that because I really liked it. So I'm going to show you the resources I use when I design. I'm actually in the midst of I'm basically doing the assignment with you guys. Oh, who knew you could move that? Okay, now that that's out of the way, I can actually see my screen. So I'm going to just show you. Let me go to Google Sites because I closed it. So I have two. I have my old portfolio and I'll show you. And I'm going to go over things that I wish I could change. And then I'm also going to show you how you can personalize it real quick. One thing I noticed is that you guys blew me away with how personalized you were. Like you did so much better than I did. Look at, I left it red and white and it was very like, there's a huge picture. And now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, take it away. Like this isn't your about me page, girly pop. So I would like I like that I did this, but I would take away this top banner now if I went through and redid it. I like my about me. I would probably make it not as wordy now that I'm looking at it. You can go to my pages. I actually added a page for my other class. And apparently I didn't never fix it. So that's another thing I would do is that I would continue including other classes. And I like that my essays are here, and I like that I put these essays are not only to be are only for reference. No no plagiarizing. So remember that if you are uploading your work, maybe do a disclaimer because some people sometimes they just forget to take it. I took my embedded reflections off just because of if I do share this portfolio kind of as a this is everything that I did and I wish I could change it. Looking back at it now, I had so much time to do that. I just waited till last minute, which is wrong with me. But you would have your embedded. I had it right here. I like how you guys did it though. You have some have it through Docs, some have it through Drive, some have it where it takes you to a whole new like page and it makes it bigger, whereas mine was very, very small. So I like how innovative you guys were. Now we're gonna jump in and see what I did with my current portfolio and how I personalized it so much. I am still trying to figure out how to get this ugly big white space out. Bear with me. I know that some of you also mentioned that you want this ugly big white space. Not a clue. It looks like someone might have figured it out and I reached out to them and I'm waiting to hear back. But like you can use the insert function to do forms. You can have people like leave comments that way about what they would change. Interest. You can do Google Sheets, slides, docs. That's kind of how I embedded mine. Just make sure when you do include the document, some of you forgot to leave permissions. So I'll go back to, we'll go back to this. So whenever you do include that, you have to share it and make it pretty much anyone with the link. Even with the ASU link, it doesn't actually work for me. I don't know why, but like you can't view it. So make sure that public access, if you do use the Google these options, just it'll cause like you don't have permission to share and it's silly. So going into the resources that you use, Pinterest. I actually will be sharing this in a little bit, but I've started to kind of I made a separate Pinterest, so I have two Pinterests, and this isn't actually my main one, but I'm making one that is a portfolio resource page. Kristina actually gave me this idea when she was a mentor. She actually collaborated with a few others and started making their Pinterest kind of have boards where you can find resources for like portfolio, thesis topic, like APA formatting, everything. So I'm starting to tailor my Pinterest to that, but right now I'm doing it with portfolio resources. So I'm slowly adding like PNGs, transparent PNGs. Another resource you can use for that is instead of having like the white background, you can go to remove.bg, which removes the background and then makes this actually like a emoji or like an icon. Um, I'm also adding like banners. So if you don't want to make your own, but you don't want it to be plain, you can use this. There's gonna be tons more. I haven't been able to find any that's like too plain because like you do have to be careful. Like I like this, maybe without the words. Another thing you can do, and what I actually did was to make my portfolio's background on the personalized one. I made this in Canva. Same with the logo. I made my own logo. I got rid of that ASU thing because a few of you mentioned you would like this to be your professional and transform it into something that you can use for job applications and just to showcase your work. So use Canva. Reach out to me if you have any questions about Canva. I have premium because I like it that much that I'm willing to pay for it. And so if you want me to make you something or like we can work together over Zoom and I can design it and we can just use my pro features, I'm completely willing to do that. Let me find, maybe I deleted my banner, which if I did that, I'm going to be so sad about myself. Um, I for sure deleted it, but basically what you can do is you can create a design, you can do your own, you can also search. I just searched banner and all these different things will pop up. You kind of want it to be plain so it's readability. Another thing that I noticed with all of your guys' portfolios is that there is points where I couldn't read like aspects or like the background. The background should be clear enough so that if for some reason someone's viewing your page and they might have a vision impairment, it should be clear enough that they can still read it. Otherwise, there are ways to make it more accessible. There's also, look, as you can see, they have a readability adjustment. I haven't figured out how to make it more accessible to those that like may have vision impairments or they would like audio. I'm still kind of working with that. But so choose something that's clear. You can customize this template. You can change it, put your name. You can play with the fonts. If you have Pro, you can actually upload a font. And I did it earlier, and then you upload it, you make sure that you have the and then I'm gonna cancel it because I actually have that font already, and then it will put that in uploaded font. So then let's say I want to use moldy cheese. It adds more of a personalization that maybe you didn't consider. So I would, if you have the time, if you're free, if you love designing, like I know a couple of you are graphic design, I would love it if you incorporated that and you took your major and put it into this assignment because Eng 101 and Eng 102, once you get to it, it's very, very individualized. You can make it, this is the part where it's fun. You can make it you. I made mine about psychology, and I've been kind of transforming my portfolio into psychology. And the professional one that I'm using right now, it's going to have a fake button up here, and this is actually going to be for my um, profile project. I didn't do this, but I'm going to make my own and like join you guys and kind of get feedback on it. But to show an example, and then I can showcase so that whenever someone wants to go and look at my profile, they can just click this button rather than classes and look for my and see gallery. Another thing that a couple of you did, not all, but they had just a gallery section, and you can do I think I actually did this myself. Yep. I included my project. I did a logo that I did for a business. I had some of my writing that I did. Um, Drafts, I included all my drafts so you could see the progress of what I did for my final project. And I really like that. I like that you can showcase yourself and it doesn't just have to be ink. And Kristina, I'm not sure if you also would think it'd be cool, but I think being able to personalize it and include more, it makes it a lot less blank. Because in the beginning it looks so blank, and of course you can add more, but you can also just add projects. They had you go look back and see what you had on there and look through your old writing, and you can include that. You can include like robotics projects. I know some of you mentioned that you've worked and collaborated on websites. Show that in here. That's what I look for, and that's what I want to see. It's a portfolio. It's kind of like instead of it being physical and where there's a folder and I can just flip through, show it on here. Let this be the pages, and you can change it. Some of you forgot to change your name. It just says your name up there, so make sure you go do that. You can change this banner. I think it's a header is what it's called, so you can change that, get it gone, or at least format it so it's like a different color. It's an announcement banner, sorry. And you can remove that and make it more you. And yeah, but overall, I think you guys did great with portfolios. The biggest takeaway I want you to remember is keep updating it. Just whether it's refinement or adding more things to look at, fix your buttons, making sure that your reflections are in here. Keep refining, because one, your reflection should be in there, and most of you did have it in there and it was accessible, but I did comment on a few that it wasn't, and that was just like, well, towards the final, that's what they're looking for, and the buttons need to work. Make sure that your buttons go to the right places, so when you click that, I think you can notice that in mine. This doesn't have any buttons, which is bad. I need it to have buttons instead of just having to click this each time. So make sure that it works. And I did comment on a couple of you that your buttons were a little bit messed up. So that's another thing to kind of be mindful of. But otherwise, great job. I look forward to kind of seeing the final portfolio. If you have questions, email. My writing labs, they're Mondays. I'm in Central, like Kristina, so sometimes I have to do the math. I think they're 4 to 5 p.m. on Mondays, and then Saturdays they're 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. If those don't work for you, I've already worked with a few students. Reach out. I am here to be of service, not just like exist, and I'm always willing to be flexible. I work from home. I'm gonna be start nannying, but I'm always home, and even then the baby is so easygoing that like I'm here to be of service to you, and there's not gonna be any problems. I just want you guys to know these are resources for you. They pay me so that I can be for you guys, so that you're making the most out of your tuition, because ASU isn't cheap, and I understand that, and Kristina understands that. So we are going to keep reiterating. I'm going to keep reiterating. I'm going to keep sending announcements. I'm going to keep sending these messages whenever I have my meetings. Come, even if it's just a hangout. I do have a student that comes weekly and we just talk. That's usually what it is. We're just talking, and we work through kind of the project, but we also talk about what also ASU has, book clubs, meetings, and I'm a part of the online club for Barrett's, and so these are other resources that I can help you find. And I'm not just for English 101. If you have questions about your major, like how to do anything of that, I've been there, and a lot of you are going to be first years, so utilize me in that aspect. Network, I can teach you how to network. So yeah, I want to hit home on that. And Kristina also is a great resource. I go to Kristina for everything. There's so many email chains. I'm always asking questions, or we meet once a week. If you ever have questions and you're nervous to talk to Kristina, or you're nervous to talk to me, Christine and I meet and talk about communication between students. So you can go to either of us for the other person, and that's totally okay, because some people have said that I'm intimidating and they're like scared to go to me, or some people think that Christine is intimidating. We're not gonna bite. We're very nice people, I promise.
We
We're from
promise.
Iowa. We're from Iowa, so it's like you might have heard Iowa nice. We're very proud of that. So yeah, otherwise I'm gonna hand it back over to Christina. I do talk a lot, and that's one thing you'll get to know about me, but it's just this is vital information that I want you like to take away from this. If there's anything that you use from this, use us. That's my
Yes.
takeaway.
100%. I agree and second and support all of that. Yes. And I thank you so much for showing your portfolio, Emma. It looks amazing. I figured since you're showing yours, I will show mine very quickly. And we're not doing this to hopefully scare anybody off, because you guys are first year, you're just starting your portfolios. We're just trying to show you that these portfolios can be used beyond this class. They don't just have to be for English 101. So I have mine. This is my teaching portfolio. Um, Definitely has a lot more to it. I actually used this when I was applying for this job. So I have a couple quotes that I like, just kind of a brief introduction. I have my About Me page with different pictures of me and my family and my kids, and, my kids are not that little anymore. I should probably update some of these pictures. See, again, refine it, continue to work on it. That is a closer updated photo. It's still a year old at this point, but it's it's still there. Professional work that I have, certificates I've earned, other things I've had publications in a couple different things, evaluations that I've received, supplemental resources I've worked on together with other people, just a lot of different things that you can really incorporate this for. I know a lot of you guys have really shared great goals in, maybe doing poetry, journaling, blogging, a lot of different stuff like that that you could use a portfolio for. It doesn't even have to necessarily be for academic purposes. It can be, as Emma said, you can put your degree in here and things that you want to, showcase for that. There's so many different ways that you can utilize your portfolios. So yeah, we covered a lot of information today. That was a lot for you guys. Take this, come back and review it as much as you need. We will continue to talk about all of these things in broken up parts in our announcements with additional resources. Again, we are 100% here for you. We don't just say those things. We actually love working these jobs and being able to communicate and connect with you guys. So I like meeting with students is my favorite part of this job. Being able to meet with you, connect with you, get to know more about you, help you get your writing style and your writing voice down. I love that. So we're both here for you. Email us. Emma shared her times and she usually shares them in announcements as well for her writing labs. I do work another job, but my job is very flexible with me. So I can literally meet with you pretty much any day and time as long as you give me a heads up of what you want. We both have Calendly links too. So if you don't want to email and you just kind of want to go in and see times that are available, you can use that as well. But yeah, I think we're going to end it there. That was quite a bit. Keep an eye out for an announcement. I will post this video in an announcement and all the resources that we kind of utilize and talked about here. We'll continue to post announcements throughout the rest of the week. Keep in mind that your 2 peer responses for your genre discussion will be due on Sunday, as well as that primary research assignment. Those are the 2 things you're going to be focusing on over the next couple of days. And then next week, that'll be a new week. We'll start focusing on that once we get there. So thank you guys so much. I hope that this video was helpful. I know it's long, but it really is a lot of great information in here. Hopefully we hear from you guys. Feel free to comment in this announcement as well, whether, what you thought about this, if there's anything you're still confused on, if you want additional resources on some of the things we talked about today, we're more than willing to do that. So feel free to reach out and let us know anything that you might want to be working on. But otherwise, thank you guys so much. Hopefully this was helpful and we look forward to hopefully meeting with some of you. So we'll talk soon.
Thank you
Bye.
guys. Bye.